regime of terror. Now, those are nothing more than rumors. The rumors may easily be occasioned by the fact that he's flying back to Washington, which is reminiscent of John Kennedy doing that before flying back from Chicago, canceling political events. And then we got into because of the Bay of Pigs. Not the Bay of Pigs, I'm sorry, the Cuban Missile Crisis. So this could all be, the press jumping up and down. Nothing wrong with that. It's a perfectly legitimate speculation with the president going back. Now, to temper that a bit, let's put in context the fact that the president did say 2 days ago that he would probably not be able to go to his son's wedding at Bedminster, which is taking place tomorrow. And he said that his son would understand because, things are touch and go for the next week or so. So it may be not a plan as much as a contingency, a possibility. I would imagine, based upon what Iran does, they're ready to go in any minute. I mean, let's say Iran does a big attack. It would seem to me that we're at the point where if they did a big attack, we would devastate them, and so we want to be able to counter that. So the beginning of this, which we've always assumed, like the other ones, would be at a time and place of our choosing, may not be. It may be something that is not necessarily forced on us, but the timing of it may be set by what Iran does. That's always possible. And that's when he said the other day that I really should be in the White House over these days. That's what I thought he meant. I didn't think necessarily he was going to attack them on Saturday. I thought he wanted to be there to monitor events on Saturday because it's possible that I'll have to respond on Saturday. Now, this is all speculation, and so you got mine as well as everybody else's, and they're all equally valid because none of us knows what we're talking about. And it may very well be the president doesn't know right now. I mean, if it is what I just said, the president's going back on a contingency. He's going back to see how things are going. And I do think that there were a couple of things that fit into the patterns that are set up here. I think that contentious or hot conversation between the president and Bibi Netanyahu the other night is a pretext. It seems to me every time they bomb, they have some kind of a disagreement to kind of throw off the idea that there is going to be a bombing. I mean, one time they were in the middle of negotiations. Well, I guess they're in the middle of negotiations now, although I really do think it's played itself out. The idea that, as far as I can tell, Marco Rubio, J.D. Vance, Steve and Jared are all in America. They're not over in Pakistan. And the Pakistanis are trying to keep this going for their own purposes. So how serious are negotiations like that? Meanwhile, they're so worried that they're saying things like, we're going to charge a toll we're going to narrow the Strait of Hormuz even more, and we're going to charge a toll for it. We're not going to give back the plutonium. The most we consider is giving it to Russia, and I think Russia has basically said, "Screw you, we don't want it." They also do not agree to have any restrictions on the use of the money that they get. They want the sanctions lifted. They want the money right away. That's so they can rearm Hezbollah. They must really think we're stupid. So, as I told you some time ago, this is inevitable. It is going to happen. Will it be tomorrow? Will it be the next day? The day after? The day after? The day after? I can't tell you that. So we'll keep on top of it over the weekend and even as we're moving about. The fund that the president announced, the weaponization fund, which seems to me, and of course, it's a little bit hard for me to be objective about this since I'm not the worst victim of their persecution, but I'm certainly not the least victim of their persecution. They destroyed my law firm. They destroyed my security business. They put me in a bankruptcy. They even tried to take my grandfather's watch from me, and I was down to having no cash. And I had to borrow cash so that I could buy stuff, which is really amazing for a guy who had a net worth of I don't even want to tell you what it was. It was in excess of 30 million. But they got me thrown off. They got me thrown off YouTube. They tried to get me thrown off all the television stations with a letter from Biden. They falsely accused me of being a Russian agent for 17 months, and it turned out that the 51 spies who lied were spies who lied. I can go on and on just about me, but then we can look at Steve Bannon, who was put in prison for something nobody has ever put in prison. We got Peter Navarro, who was put in prison and brought there in leg irons. I mean, Comey was arrested a while back. Nobody put Cardinal Comey in leg irons. So they have focused on the J6 people, and I do believe that the J6 people were the most victimized of all of us, including the several that went to prison, because it was different. It was a different kind of going to prison. From what I can tell from very, very credible sources, these people were treated in a horrible, inhumane way in prison. And so what the Democrats did, and then sucker Republicans, Ted, who are disgusting, pick up on it, is to say, we're never going to support any kind of compensation or damages given to people who beat up cops.
Right.
Well, first of all,
we know what that's about.
I have to see a video of somebody beating up a cop. I haven't seen one. I see general pushing and shoving, but I don't see one. But I'm gonna assume for a minute that there were a certain number who beat up cops.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, nobody killed a cop despite their lying about it, including doing a disgraceful lying in state of a police officer who died of natural causes. So let's say there are a group that committed some type of violent crime. Nothing like burning down a building, or hitting a cop in the head with a brick, or killing a cop like the people during the summer of 2020 did and all got away with it. Nothing like that. But let's say they instigated and they did that. And let's say, is it 1,000 that were convicted, Ted? I think it's about 1,000.
Yeah, I think so.
So let's say, okay, I'm gonna say 100 did that. Not correct, by the way. If it's 10, it's a lot. But let's say 100 did that. Okay, let's put them in one category. Maybe they're not entitled to compensation. But what about the guy who walked in, the shaman?
The QAnon shaman.
The shaman did no physical damage to anyone. The shaman was escorted by the police. When he went into the chamber, was it of the Senate or the House, Ted?
The
House chamber, was it?
I think it was both.
Well, the one where they opened the door from, they had to go get a key and open the door.
I think that was the Senate.
Okay, so that one is really pretty darn amazing, because he goes to the first door, he can't get in, he has two cops with him, they're kind of joking around, they go over to the second door, they open the second door for him, and they let him go in. Now, how is this guy supposed to know he's not supposed to go in when they open the door for him? Two police officers open the door for him. He then goes down, gets on the podium, makes some kind of a speech. I don't remember what he said. Then he goes up on the top, makes another speech, and then he leads them all in prayer. And some of the cops actually bow down and pray with him. And then they escort him out. In all of that process, he hit no one, he hurt no one, he stole nothing. He committed a trespass, they say. I say that trespass can't be a trespass when the cops escorted him around. They certainly misled him into thinking he was perfectly okay to be there. So this guy should be compensated. This guy should. Who's that on the phone?
This is what we want.
Oh, there he
that
is.
was Steve
Yeah.
Schmidt, but this is
No,
look, he's walking in with the cop.
Yeah,
The
okay.
cop's walking him in. Look, they walk him in. That's them walking him in.
They seem to like him, actually.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they sure look like they're struggling. Look at them. Look at them. They're just talking to the guy.
That's him walking down. That's him walking down, walking around. Nobody takes him and moves him out, tells him to go out. Can we find Can we find the one where they opened the door to the chamber?
This might be it. Look at that, Bill. Nope. Nope. But
He's following the cop.
Look at them all. Look. Oh yeah, they look real afraid. Oh, those cops are. Oh yeah. They look real afraid. They're laughing. They walk him in. Look,
Explain.
there he is. At
There,
the...
oh, there he is. That's where he's up on. Who's holding the flag now?
Some other guy that probably spent 4 years in jail for holding the American flag.
He got somebody to help him with the flag.
Yeah.
The cops are gone now. Who is that? Is
That's
that
one
him?
of the gentlemen. I don't think that's him. Well, there's the door. Let's see if they open it. Look at that. Oh, they open the door. Oh. And they open the door. That's it. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah. They held the door open for him.
They look at him. Look at him walk in. Look at the. All right. Look at that cop in front of him.
Now, if
That
he
cop opens the door. Watch him open the door, and then he walks in. Then he walks in.
now if he was not allowed, if that was trespass, why did the cop not prevent him from going in? How do you get convicted of trespass when the cop lets you go in?
Bizarre.
But okay, that's one example. And there are that's the majority of cases. The majority of cases are people who walked in under circumstances that appeared to be invited in to ambiguous, to some that broke in. Okay, if they broke a window and came in, now we have damage to property. And we have a crime, but no bail, preventive detention, a year, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years imprisonment. From everything we can tell, they were held under punitive conditions of confinement with rats and. This was a very, very dark period of time when American justice failed for the first time really ever on a major scale. And the fascists in the Biden administration got their way. And these people should be compensated for it. Now, let's go beyond that. Let's go to the Papadopouloses and the Carter Pages and of course, they should be compensated for it. It is now all acknowledged that this is a plot put together and paid for by Hillary Clinton, Brennan, Obama. I don't know. Rather than the government paying, it should come from them. Money should come from them. They're the ones who put people on the list.
I got to say it.
I mean, how much should they pay me for monitoring my my iCloud account within a short period of time of my becoming the counsel to Donald J. Trump? where they couldn't possibly have had probable cause. Otherwise, they would have given me the affidavit a long time ago. I can't even get the affidavit from this Justice Department. Do you believe that? The covering up that goes on of these institutions. You see how the CIA reacted to the whistleblower who was just telling the truth about the liar Fauci. We got a long way to go to fix this. And the theory of American law, and this is the law of torts that comes out of England, is that a person should be made whole if they've been illegally damaged. Made whole means that they should be compensated based on the financial losses they had, and then some form of punitive damages.
Right.
And the idea is to have a commission look at this and decide whether the claims are accurate, not accurate, and what people would be entitled to.
Right.
So I understand the Democrats against it. The Republicans, I really resent the Republicans being against it, because these people who went through this preserved the Republican Party for these little wimps.
Right.
They did a lot more for the Republican Party and the Republic than these people have ever done. The Democrats did an autopsy of the 2024 election. How ridiculous! What's
a little late for that? I mean,
what's the difference? How do they remain at all popular? I mean, their climate change thing now turns out at best to have been maliciously exaggerated so they could make a lot of money, and possibly completely contrived, like the Clinton story about Russian collusion, in which a lot of Democrats like Gore and others became multimillionaires, or few, and had predicted the end of the world 2-3 times. It never happened. What they did to our borders is tantamount to allowing an invasion of the United States, and the defiling of our young women, the defiling of our young men, and elderly people. And look, you say, we have a lot of crime in America, so what's the difference? Well, we're stuck with that. The difference is we don't have to have this other crime. The difference is that a civilized country has borders. And the only way it can preserve its nationality is to have borders. And there is the key to it. This is an attack on our nationality. This is an attack on our Americanism. Democrats are no longer Americans. They don't stand up for America. They stand up for one world. They stand up for communism. They stand up for atheism. They stand up for excessive Islamic murder. Those are the things that
the Democrat Party of today stand for.
So the Harris-Walz campaign was just a complete disaster. Biden shouldn't have run. She shouldn't have run.
What did they end up saying in this report, Mayor?
Too much time spent on esoteric issues rather than, the core issues of people not being able to afford food.
A lot of focus on they, them.
Yeah.
Not enough on
he, her. I don't see that it makes any contribution to any of that. So I just mention it because it gives you an idea of the terrible place the Democrat Party is. It's time to end it and start a new party. Now, with all of what's going on with the judge allowing Abrego Garcia to stay here in the United States, even though he beat the living daylights out of his girlfriend and committed crimes, was caught moving drugs around, came in illegal. He's here illegally. Just that alone, we should get rid of him. But a judge decided he can stay. Now, I want you to say to yourself, because they say it shouldn't matter who a judge is appointed by. The minute I heard that, I knew this was either from Obama or Biden. And of course, it's an Obama judge, Obama, who was originally put there to undermine the United States and really started the whole thing off. Do you want to, in case you have to, you run across this judge, and you take a little of his smile too, you can get an idea there's a little bit missing in the intellectuality of this judge. There he is, happy judge, letting criminals go. I don't know. I'd like to take a look at your whole record, Judge, to see. And what's his name? Judge Waverly D. Crenshaw Jr. He dismissed the human trafficking charges against Kilmer Abrego Garcia. Whether he was human trafficking or not, he's illegally in the United States. I hope that gets appealed, and I hope they get rid of this guy. And maybe Senator Vanden Heuvel can go back and visit him again, because he's got nothing better to do. Now, Republicans ran out of town, right, Ted?
Yep.
Now, the way, explain to me how they ran out of town. One of it is the fund, right?
Right.
They are they're all got their noses out of joint over the fund.
And like you said, Mayor, that might bother me more than
because they have no empathy for the people who were tortured by the Democrats, because they played along with them.
Right.
The House wouldn't do anything to help. I mean, I'm the one who discovered all of this, and the House did nothing to help. The Senate did nothing to help. The Senate didn't want to investigate, with the exception of Johnson and Chuck Grassley, because he was a fellow senator. The crook Biden was a fellow senator. And I guess they know if you start taking a look at how he got money, you're going to take a look at McConnell, who's walking out of the Senate without anybody taking a look at the money he got from Red China.
Right. Well,
all in a best-selling book, but nobody will look at that guy who got $5 million from his father-in-law, who's a red Chinese communist, big ship owner, probably does a lot of the shadow ships to help the Chinese communist pathological murderers and people who regime that kills more of its own people than anyone else. He and his wife got at least one $5 million transfusion from that guy, and then from then on, McConnell became much more favorable toward Red China.
Let's. This is Senate Majority Leader John Thune explaining kind of the situation from his perspective.
The enormous difficulty of doing that. In fact, the biggest majority has not been able to.
Right. Well, I guess, and I would just remind people that the coin in the realm in the Senate is floor time. There's a finite amount of it, and we have a lot of things we have to do. There's a housing bill that's awaiting action, hopefully a market structure bill, possibly permitting reform, farm bill, highway bill. You can go right down the list. Russia sanctions, there are a whole bunch of things that could be teed up for action on the floor of the Senate. And so you have to make some judgments, and the conference will have a conversation about that. I've committed to that we will talk about that idea and determine whether or not what the conference's views are about it and how they want to proceed. As I said, we will vote on the SAVE Act, but exercising or triggering a talking filibuster has ramifications, implications that I think everybody needs to be aware of. So we will have those discussions, but that's obviously ties the floor up for an indefinite amount of time with not only unlimited debate, but also unlimited amendments.
All right, rather we had the Senate majority.
Well, I don't quite understand that, Ted.
He
I thought he was going to talk about how he was upset about Cornyn.
no, that's him explaining that they don't have the time to get to pass the SAVE Act. He's saying,
Yeah, but we sort of went in one direction, a different direction. I was talking about the fund for lawfare, and he's talking about the SAVE Act,
oh yeah,
which
sorry.
would only allow us to have free and fair elections. God forbid we should have that.
Right, we got that. Sorry, I put this in the wrong order.
Gee, how many Republicans benefited from that? I sure as heck had an awful lot of trouble with the Republicans in Georgia and in Arizona, and in the fullness of time, I think you'll find out what they did.
Well, this is the right clip. Sorry, my apologies.
Democrats.
Given that you've spent months trying to persuade the president to endorse John Cornyn in the Texas primary, and given that the NRSC has invested heavily to help Cornyn win that primary, how personally disappointed or frustrated are you with the president's decision to endorse Ken Paxton today?
Well, I think you all know my position on this issue. I've made it very clear for months now. And Senator Cornyn is a principled conservative. He is a very effective senator for the state of Texas. And but none of us control what the president does. He made his decision about that. That doesn't change the way I feel. I am certainly supportive of, will continue to be supportive of Senator Cornyn and his reelection.
How much harder has he made it to keep the majority? How much harder has the president's decision here made it for you to do the #1 job to keep the Republican majority, given your concerns about Ken Paxton's viability as a candidate?
We look at lots of races around the country, and the majority runs through a lot of different states. We have 24 seats up this time. The Democrats have only 9, so we've got a lot more ground to defend. We also have a couple of offensive opportunities. So, one state doesn't determine the outcome of this election, but obviously we care about every state, and we care about helping see our incumbents succeed. That being said, I feel very good about where we are. As I've said before, I think when it comes to winning elections, it starts with quality candidates. Then you got to have a record of accomplishment to run on. You've got to have resources to get that message out, tell that story to the American people, and then you've got to have a really substantial effort to get out the vote, a ground game. And I feel confident in all those elements in all the key states where we're going to have competitive elections this year. And I'm very confident we'll hang on and maybe even expand the majority of the United States Senate, which is counter, I know, to the sort of the narrative these days. But the truth of the matter is we've got the right candidates in the right places at the right time, and with the right resources, we're going to win some races.
Well, it sounds like he's bitter about the fact that the president didn't support his pal Cornyn, and the president had every right to support Paxton. Paxton did a heck of a lot more to help us than Cornyn did. Cornyn half didn't believe us. And by the way, he didn't believe us, and we're telling the truth. And by not believing us, they also covered up the tremendous amount of corruption that goes on in the Senate. And I don't believe that of Cornyn and Thune, but some of the Republicans do the same thing the Democrats did.
Mm-hmm.
So let's take a break, and when we come back, we're going to have our friend Vernon Jones on, who's in a very, very big race that we would like you to help him with. But let's take our break now, and then we'll come back with Vernon. U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal, 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news, even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax, channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly, where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast. These deals are selling out.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because we like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster, and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. Welcome back to America's Mayor Live. And before we get to Vernon, let me remind you that you can build an entire online business of your own with Sticker Mule Pro. It's only $9 a month, and it comes with everything you need to sell patriotic merchandise. And as we move toward the 14th and we move toward July 4th and Memorial Day this weekend, which again is a day to remember the people who died to give us freedom. Remember, we don't confuse it with Veterans Day, which is to honor all veterans. This is to honor the ones who die. So I know it's an understandable mistake, but it'd be far better not to say Happy Memorial Day. Just say I hope you're remembering our heroes on Memorial Day, or God bless our heroes, or this is a very, very solemn day on Monday, although it is celebrated all weekend. So here with Sticker Mule Pro, you can sell patriotic merchandise. And they'll set up an e-commerce store for you. They'll set up email marketing. They'll set up SMS marketing, and they'll set up a customer service platform and whatever else you need to get this thing going and grow it as much as you can, as big as you want it to be. You go to stickermule.com/pro. That's stickermule.com/pro and use code Rudy. You'll get 3 months free. So get to it right away. This is the time to do it with the 250th anniversary coming. I would think there'd be a big market for it. So now let's go to the man who knows Georgia better than anybody. He's running for He's running for Secretary
Secretary of State.
State, which, as we know, was occupied by a scoundrel for a while who's now gone. And he'll be able to straighten that office out. He'll be able to straighten out Georgia. He'll have a lot to do with the free and fair election. Oh, my goodness. This man is he's exceptional. Vernon, are you there?
Oh, he's there. He's just setting up his camera here, so I don't. Oh, there he is. There he is. Oh,
there
yes,
you
yeah.
are, Vernon.
Yeah,
I
we can
see you. I like your tie, Vernon.
Thank you. You guys got a good shot of me?
We do. If you want to center
Can you
it,
see
it's
me?
not. We can see you. We can see you well, Vernon. If you want to center it, but that's just being a little bit picky. It's a good
All right, let
shot.
me know if I'm centered. Let me know which way.
The other way.
Other way. Other way.
There it is.
There we
Perfect.
go. There.
Ideal. You're right
Look
there,
at that.
babes.
Whoa.
Oh, there we. Oh my. Now he looks handsome. Now he looks
He's got the,
handsome.
he's got the
Now
Trump
he
look.
looks handsome.
He's got the Trump look going.
He's got the red tie. Oh boy.
Yeah.
So how's it going, Vernon? I mean, we've talked a bit, and I saw your interview with Dr. Maria also. Tell me, how's the you're in a runoff now, right?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Let me tell you, we started out with 5 in this race, and I was the underdog, obviously, by some measures. We didn't raise as much money, but we raised more hell. And we went across the state from one end to the other, every county we can get to, and talk to as many people as possible. Our message is resonating. And what is that? That we're not going to repeat what happened in 2020, that our elections are going to be free, they're going to be fair, and they're going to be transparent. We are working to eliminate the QR codes and to go back to paper balloting. And at the same time, Mr. Mayor, Georgia, with all the irregularities and outright fraud, the opponent of mine that I'm in the runoff with, he came from an old administration, from the Secretary of State's office, and we want to make sure that we have someone going to the office that doesn't have ties, who's not going to go there and cover up what happened in 2020. I'm going to make sure that I turn the light on those cockroaches. We're going to find out what happened. We're going to get to the truth. We're going to vindicate the president, and we're going to vindicate America's mayor, you, Mayor Giuliani, because you and I both know that there was fraud in Georgia. It was riddled with irregularities. There was a cover-up by election officials and elected officials. And so we're going to make sure that when we get elected Secretary of State, we are going to bring home what people want, and that is restore public trust in our elections. And so our runoff, early voting starts June 8th through June 12th, and then election day is actually on June 16th.
Coming up quick. It's a quick one. But you were in very heavy campaigning, so you just continue, right?
Yes, we were already in that mode. It's almost like the playoffs. We made it to the playoffs, the first round of the playoffs. Now, here we are, just in Georgia.
We got a weak connection.
And so, fortunately, we didn't. Can you hear me? Did I lose you?
Now I can.
Okay.
Just for a second. Go ahead. Just go ahead.
Okay. So what I was saying, because we did not avoid getting 50% plus one vote, we are in a runoff with one of our other opponents, but it's all hands on deck right now, Mr. Mayor. We're obviously raising money. We're contacting voters. We're making sure our voters come back to vote because, there's a drop off in the runoff. But we have these other elections, statewide elections going on. So that's going to help with turnout. We have a primary, a GOP primary for governor, a GOP primary for lieutenant governor.
Yes, that's right. You've got a GOP, a big one, right?
Yes, governor, lieutenant governor, and the Secretary of State. And we have a big GOP runoff for the GOP nominee for U.S. Senate against John Ossoff. We have a race here. So we have 4 statewide offices where we have GOP primaries, or runoffs, I should say, so we can become the nominee.
Well, I would think that'll maximize the GOP vote. I mean, when you consider that all of you have a following, the race for governor will be a close one, won't it?
Yeah, what you have the lieutenant governor who's currently running for governor, and then you have one of his opponent, or his primary, or his runoff opponent, I should say. He's a wealthy, successful businessman in his own right, and he has made this race very competitive. There's only just a few points between those two, and so yes, it's going to be. It's one of those GOP.
Burt Jones came out ahead by a little bit. And as you know, I support Burt. And Burt, but only about 3-4 points, right, ahead.
Yeah, it was very close, on the normal circumstances. But Burt Jones, obviously, he's been working hard. He has been a lieutenant governor. He has a track record. He has coverage in his state. He's working hard. He has a competitor there.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he's very, he's a billionaire, and he spent, I think now, upwards $70 million of his own money.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Now, in your case, a lot of these runoffs turn on who is on the ballot below you guys, and what happens to that vote? Does it go to you? Does it go to your opponent? Does it go away? Who has a better chance with the people who didn't vote for you, but voted for the people that were down ballot?
Well,
I hope we could hear that.
yeah, we'll bring him back on. We don't want him on there with.
Yeah, well, we'll go back to that. You get a chance to think about, because
Yeah.
a lot of times you can scope these out by, who are the other candidates to the left. Now, it's not always accurate because, as he said, these don't get great turnouts, and new voters can come in also.
That's right.
But I don't know Georgia politics well enough to analyze that. But if it were New York or Pennsylvania or New Jersey, I could probably give you a pretty good analysis.
Am I back online now?
What I was asking about was the other people on the ballot who got the balance of the vote. Traditionally, their voters, about half of them stay home and about half of them come back out to vote.
Yeah.
So who do you think has an advantage with them?
Well, first of all, Mr. Mayor, overall in the primary of all voters in Georgia, it was about a 28% turnout of all registered voters in Georgia.
That wasn't bad for a primary.
It wasn't bad for a primary, especially, what drove that because you had these statewide open seats. But you're right. The runoff, normally you don't have as many voters to come back. Obviously, we're hoping to capitalize on our opponents that lost. At least one of them already come out and endorsed me. The other one's thinking about endorsing me. And so that builds momentum.
How many were there? How many were there, Vernon?
It was 5 of us.
Okay, so one of them has endorsed you and one may.
One has doors, one may. The other, I guess, he just, when you lose, you sort of drop off. You don't want to, have any communication with anybody at that point because, you're dealing with that. But I hope to talk with him as well. But traditionally, looking at where it is, the one who got the when you look at getting your vote back to the polls, that's important. So we're targeting those. We're targeting those who came under me to try to get them to come back. That's why we're asking those endorsements. I tell you this too. I heard you say something earlier about who can come back. If you did not vote in the primary, you can come back and vote in this runoff. You are eligible to do that. And so many of them, again, if only 28% only 20% showed up, that means what you have about 72% of voters that didn't vote can still come out and vote in this runoff. And in Georgia, it's not one of those open primaries. You have to request either Republican or Democrat ballot. And so we are also targeting those who have the propensity of voting based on their previous records. So we're targeting them now and asking them to come out because we know they didn't vote this time around. So we also target them as well.
Is there a Democratic race going on?
Yeah, there is a primary runoff, a Democrat runoff as well. So you got to understand, with all these open seats, you had a lot of people competing. It was an open governor seat, open lieutenant governor seat, open secretary of state seat, open attorney general seat. And the only one that was not so much an open seat was Ossoff. But you had 5 people contending for that U.S. Senate seat in the GOP primary, and it's down between Mike Collins and Derek Dooley. And Mike being a current congressman, and Derek Dooley, who has been all out and supported by Governor Brian Kemp. I mean, literally on the campaign with Derek Dooley every day. Kind of brought him last place, actually up to second place, because when he got in the race, nobody knew him. He never held office. It was all on the strength of Governor Kemp.
So how did that end up on election night? Who
On election night, Derek Dooley, Kemp's candidate, came in second place. So he and Mike Collins are in a runoff.
And how far apart were they?
It was like 35 to 24. Wasn't that big of a gap at all.
Yeah. Well, so this is all over the place.
Yeah, it's all over the place, Mr. Mayor. It's literally all over the place. And it's, it's one of those unusual years too. You have all these open seats. You have what's going on in Washington, because that happens to impact down here. You have a vulnerable senator in Georgia. I would say Ossoff is vulnerable. And so that's why you had so many jump in that GOP primary to take him on. But again, it was a lot of musical chairs. You had 5 state senators running for lieutenant governor, and they all were friends. One of them won, well, actually 2 of them. And ironically, one of the ones who got the most votes in that primary lieutenant governor race, GOP, his name was John Kennedy. And many would tell you they never saw him on the campaign trail, but that name, I guess that name, John Kennedy, resonated. And
I'm wondering which one, the president or the senator? They're both.
I wish my name was Rudy Giuliani. I'd have won with a landslide down here in Georgia.
Well, you have Rudy Giuliani. You let me know when you need me, okay?
Thank you. You've already helped, Mr. Mayor, and you made a difference. So thank you so much.
You're a fine man, and it would be a great addition to a state that needs a lot of help, as you know better than anyone. God bless you.
And Mayor, he's been consistent.
Please.
He's been consistent. I knew Vernon back in 2020 on the campaign trail. We'll keep those stories to ourselves, Vernon, but he's been consistent. And ever since that election day, 2020, he's been right there with you, Mayor.
He has.
With you before I even was.
He escorted me when nobody would talk to me. He escorted me around the Capitol.
Right. So get out there and support Vernon. He's a great American.
He even talked to me when I was under indictment in Georgia.
One thing about it, Mr. Mayor, I stood shoulder to shoulder with you when you went and faced that grand jury, and I didn't see you back down, back away, or back off. You were solid as Stone Mountain. Right. And so your courage and your bravery, and you looked that lady in the eye, and you let her know that you weren't afraid and that you would stand up for election integrity. And you know what, Mr. Mayor, you were right and she was wrong. And we do have election integrity issues in Georgia. So we thank you for coming down here fighting for us.
Thank you. Well, now we know who the criminal is.
Yeah.
Her. So, well, thank you very, very much, Vernon. And we're going to be following this very closely. You have a good, productive weekend. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And those listeners who want to support me, they can go to Vernon Jones, SOS2026.com. That's Vernon Jones, SOS2026.com. Thank y'all so much.
Send a check. He needs a check. God bless him. Well, there's a real candidate. So let me rush through the rest of the stuff here so we get everything. In Cuba, they've been doing a lot of interviews, and I was wondering about Cuba because I do have a Cuban-American friend who told me that the people in Cuba are very dispirited, and they may not be quite like the people in Iran. I mean, I know that the press doesn't cover this as well as they should, but the people in Iran are, I'm not going to say every single one, but there's a large number that want the regime of terror out. You know, Marco Rubio said the other day about Cuba that Cuba can't go anywhere until this regime is done away with. That, you know, it's futile to expect that Cuba and that the Cubans can survive under this regime until they change. Well, the same thing is true in Iran. I don't know why we've resisted regime change there. Of all the places where we did regime change, that's probably the place that needed it the most. And the one where we had the greatest claim to doing it because they killed so many Americans and declared war against us, really. So Castro's brother, Raul, now is going to be brought to justice for a murder that he committed back in 1996 when they shot down in cold blood for 3 American citizens and a legal resident of the United States who were just doing kind of surveillance flights in a completely defenseless and unoffensive Cessna. because people were coming over in boats and they wanted people to drown. Now, they had been doing this for 5 years and nobody did anything about it. And all of a sudden, these vicious animals, the Castro shot them down and killed them. And Clinton's response was, meaning he did the usual Chamberlain, just complete caving in, just like he did to bin Laden, which may have had something to do with September 11. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Raul is indicted. He's got to come to the United States for trial. I don't see him doing it voluntarily. I don't see the government of Miguel Diaz-Canel, who is a puppet dog of the Castros, turning him over. And do we do an extrication, Ted? We'll see. Let's see.
Right.
Now, a federal grand jury in Miami had indicted Raul Castro this week in the 1996 killing. But on Tuesday, the Spanish National Court charged the former Spanish Prime Minister, Jose Luis Rodriguez Zapatero, with money laundering, influence peddling, criminal organization, and document forgery. Now, this indictment alleges that Zapatero funneled $62 million worth of pandemic bailouts to a small Venezuelan airline called Plus Ultra. And it was, as many of these pandemic scams were, it was a completely phony situation. The proceeds ended up in the hands of Maduro, his cronies, including the interim dictator, Delcy Rodriguez, who we say we're working with. Makes me very nervous when we're working with her. She's a communist slime and a thief. And this is what the Spanish indictment charges. And a lot of people felt that she was even more vicious than Maduro. Now, Zapatero's indictment came 3 days after Venezuela's interim regime extradited. Now, they extradited, because we have them by the you-know-what, Alex Saab, who was Nicolas Maduro's longtime financier, his bag man. The federal court in Miami has now also charged Saab with conspiracy to launder money through the United States. So there's another possible witness against Maduro. CIA Director Ratcliffe went down to Havana this week. It must have been an interesting conversation. And he told them that we're not going to allow Cuba to be a safe haven for enemies of the United States. And we're going to do everything we can to drive them out. And right now we have an enormously effective embargo on them that's crushing them. And let's see what happens about, do they give up? Do they give up Raul Castro and the other defendants? And if they don't, do we go pull them out? We're entitled to do that. They are defendants in a United States court. There's a lot of discussion about AI. And the president was going to issue an order yesterday, and it was scheduled for 3:30, and it was called off a few hours before. The president didn't like all the details, arguing it would put American companies behind foreign competition. I didn't like certain aspects of it. I postponed it. I think that's a good idea. This is an enormously difficult situation. If you want to get a little background on this over the weekend, read Douglas Murray's column that gives you a very, very fair analysis, of the two sides of this. So, I mean, one side of it is that it's going to take enormous numbers of jobs from people. It could become enormously intrusive to the point where privacy is gone. And there is a chance that if we don't regulate it properly, it's going to go crazy, go wild, and start developing programs of its own, and programs encouraging people to commit murder, and any number of things. And then there's a risk that if we don't aggressively keep developing AI, we're going to fall behind. And we're going to fall behind our competitor, China. And as someone very sagely put it, the next war is going to be won by who has the best AI, not necessarily who has the best weapons. I mean, obviously, you have to have weapons, but you can see what's happened with the inexpensive drones taking down the very, very expensive buildings and missiles. And
Right.
now, Douglas Murray points out that he himself has been a victim of this. There have been videos appearing online purporting to be from him on YouTube, and he's quite angry at YouTube for allowing this to go on. And they post it as if it's original content. I would say he comes out in favor of, we have to have guardrails. They cannot be guardrails that are so strict that we're going to inhibit development. He does say that he thinks to some extent we've erred a little bit on the side of moving a little bit too fast without thinking through what we're doing. There are others who disagree with him. Now, with the internet, we let it just develop. And we had some dangers as a result of that. But now that we look back on it, the internet was nothing compared to this AI. So the more thought that can be given to this, and the more analysis, and the better. You know, the future of the world and the future of world powers is going to depend on who's ahead in this let's call it supercomputing, quantum computers, for example, where we are ahead, but we got to keep that lead. The president has from day one, including the deals that he made with Taiwan for the super chips and with South Korea. We're starting to develop a NIMBY situation here. A lot of communities don't want data centers. They say, I don't know exactly why they don't want them. They don't like the crowds and the group, and maybe they have some kind of a, I don't know, you think they have some kind of a climate change thing with it, but in any event, they don't like these big data centers ruining the landscape and whatever. And Representative Nancy Mace called for a 1-year freeze on a new data center in South Carolina. In St. Charles, Missouri, a bipartisan city council went even further, voting at 7-1 to ban them entirely. A Democratic billionaire in California, gubernatorial candidate Tom Steyer, briefly joined the chorus, signing a Greenpeace moratorium on new data centers. A recent Gallup poll found 71% of Americans oppose data facilities being built in their area. But we need these. We need these data centers. We need these data centers to stay current. And so this is going to require a great deal of education, and it's going to require a standing up to not in my backyard, which I'm an expert at because the mayor of New York had to do that, and I was probably the first one to actually do it. If the city needs something, it needs something, and you got to go explain it to people. And these data centers, we can't fall behind because we're not going to find enough space to put these places. Maybe we can become more inventive and creative about where we put them. Why don't we take all that land back from the Chinese that we gave to the Chinese and put it there. Right?
Right.
That might be a nice place to put it. You should know that an Air France flight was not allowed to come into the United States because they had a passenger with Ebola. And we sent it to Canada. I wonder why Canada took it. I guess they have no choice. Nobody wants to go to Canada, right? So there are some terrific, and we're going to end on a bit of a light note. Let me make sure I've covered all the. Oh, I have to say something very nice about somebody we've spent a lot of time making fun of, Jared Polis, because of his Feliz Navidad song. Jared Polis pardoned Tina Peters. Now, Tina Peters was convicted because she allowed people to look at the way in which the Dominion machine is structured. She did not allow them to look at secret ballots. She allowed them to look at the structure of the computer. You can see it on the movie Kill Chain, which is in 2018. I've seen it. She was given a sentence for that. Let's see.
Let's see if
8 years. Was she given 8 years?
I believe
9 years. Given a 9-year prison sentence, which is unheard of. I don't even know what the harm was in this. It was that she was trying to help Trump, or she was attacking Dominion, but they gave her 9 years. We don't even have to bother going to the judge who did this. I mean, it's another one of those people who shouldn't be a judge.
let's hear him explain it.
Governor
that is on the commute.
I'm sorry. Do you want to hear him?
You want him to
She was sentenced to almost the only nonviolent offender that is on the commutation list. She was sentenced to almost 9 years in prison. And to be clear, she deserved to go to jail. She committed a crime. What's at issue here is how long the sentence is. And I agree with the appeals court that in the sentencing hearing, the judge incorrectly looked at and considered her bizarre viewpoints, her speech, and held her speech against her. She happens to be somebody that's espoused what I believe to be what anybody objectively would believe to be incorrect opinions, conspiracies, etc. That is not a crime in our country. What is a crime is, along with two other co-conspirators, one got 6 months, one got parole only, accessed after a municipal election, election computers to download software for an independent audit prior to the software being updated. That is the crime. There were 4 felonies. Those felonies will stick with her. She's a convicted felon. And I believe that the 4.5 years that I'm commuting her sentence to, she'll be on parole along with a number of the other 9 next month.
So I don't understand. Is she being let out, or is she being let out next month?
June 1st, I guess he commuted her sentence. So on
How
June,
much time has she served? I mean, the other 2 got almost nothing.
So he is facing backlash. The Democrat Party.
Oh, no, the Democratic Party is
Yeah,
going after him.
Yeah. So what I did like about what he said, so she's been in about 8 months. On June 1st, she would have been there about 8 months.
That's what a murderer gets in New York.
What I can respect about what he said, I disagree with a lot of it. He disagreed with her speech, but said that's not a crime in this country.
It is to me, I haven't heard that in years.
From a Democrat.
In years, I
let alone
haven't
a
heard
Republican.
that. Yeah, I haven't heard that in years. It's like music to my ears.
And
I congratulate you, Governor Polis, and I apologize if we made fun of you too much.
Do we have
It
to?
was all in good fun.
We have to retire that clip now.
Yeah, we're not going to. Well, maybe we should use it. I mean, he probably has a good humor about it. But I have to say, you deserve a chapter in Profiles in Courage.
Not tonight. He gets. Well, yes. I agree with you. We're not playing the video.
We're
Tonight.
not playing that video. And Profiles in Courage was a book by Senator John F. Kennedy, and it was about American politicians who destroyed their political career over principle. They voted for principle over expediency. And hopefully he's not going to ruin his political career. But the Democrats are coming after him really, really hard because they wanted the woman tortured. And that's the point of the fund also. A lot of people involved in that fund that would be made whole, who were destroyed and hurt, did nothing wrong, like the one we showed you who was. But some may have done things wrong. But the punishment, like this punishment, was way out of line with what they did. You know, they trespassed. That's 6 months, not 10 years. They were arrested like they were members of the mafia. They were put in prisons where some of them were bitten by rats. So let's get ready for the weekend. It's coming up. We don't know what's going to happen this weekend. We're all going to be alert and we're going to be ready to see what happens. We hope that everything goes well. Although I have to say, I believe the only hope for Iran, for peace in the Middle East, and maybe for peace, is to destroy and get rid of once and for all the reign of terror. And if that happens, I think we're going to have a much, 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 much better world. So let's pray for the people of the Ukraine. Let's pray for the people of Iran and the people of Israel who are in the middle of this. Let's pray for the good people of the United States so that we maintain our strength and our courage and that we learn how to unify much better, huh? And respect each other. Help us, God, with that. But also help our president. It doesn't look like he needs it. He's very, very strong and he's very, very decisive and he listens to both sides and he's able to flexibly change like he did on this AI thing when he didn't think it was quite ready yet. The way he's treated in the media is just a complete opposite of what he's like. He's extremely thoughtful about these issues and goes into great detail about them and has quite a strong conscience about them. But let's pray for him. It's a tough weekend for him. There's some very, very difficult decisions are probably going to have to be made, if not this weekend, over the next 4 or 5 days. And he needs your help. We all do, God. And we need you back in America the way you were when we started. That's why we were special. So this is the Sabbath for our Jewish friends. And Sunday is the Christian Sabbath. Please go to worship and spend some time. In addition to asking God for help and everything else, which is certainly legitimate as prayer, how about spending some time worshiping Him? So we'll see you on Monday, if not over the weekend. Go to Dr. Maria's show now on Lindell TV. It is excellent. As always. God bless America. It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze,